from Surprise Stadium in Surprise, Arizona. It's the Texas Rangers against the Milwaukee Brewers on Fox Sports Southwest. Hello there, everybody. This is Eric Nadel filling in for Dave Barnett, along with Tom Grieve, as the Rangers take on the Brewers, or try to take them on for the second time in 2 days. They were rained out in the fourth inning yesterday, but today a special day, Tom. We get our third look at the spring at the Rangers' new 25-year-old right-hander, Yu Darvish.
You know, you and I have been coming to spring training a long time, Eric, and I don't know that any player has ever generated this kind of excitement or this much scrutiny during spring training. Most guys have the luxury of just getting ready for the season. Darvish is trying to do that in a new culture with a new baseball, with new training techniques and new teammates. And at the same time, everybody expects him to get every hitter out. So that's a lot of pressure. Tremendous pitcher coming over from Japan. Might take him a little while to get used to the U.S. game, but ultimately everybody feels he's going to be a terrific pitcher.
Well, the media crush has lessened a little bit now for this third Darvish appearance. He was very good his first time out, a little wild his second time out. We'll see what Yu Darvish has in store for us today. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Reliant. With Reliant, you're the one in power. For tools that help you save on your electricity, call 1-866-RELIANT. PUCT 10007. By MCA Medical Center of Arlington, proud to serve as the official hospital of the Texas Rangers. By Papa John's. Papa John's, better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. By Captain Morgan, raise your glass, always in moderation. By Ozarka brand, 100% natural spring water. By Dairy Queen, DQ, that's what I like about Texas. And by the City of Surprise, Surprise Recreation Campus, spring training home of your Texas Rangers. Welcome back to Billy Parker Field at Surprise Stadium. Temperature in the low 50s, wind blowing out to right. There's Yu Darvish getting ready for his third spring training start. And here's a look at the starting lineup for Brewer manager Ron Renicky. Ricky Weeks leads off at second base. Niger Morgan in center field bats second. Ryan Braun hitting third and left. Travis Ishikawa hits cleanup and plays first. Alex Gonzalez at short, hitting fifth. George Kataris, the DH. Jonathan Lucroy catching. Norichika Aoki in right field. Cesar Asturis at third. And now Darvish ready to go. And let's see if he goes to the full windup for the first time in Cactus League play. He does. Over the top and to the plate, and the first pitch to Ricky Weeks is low for ball one. Weeks, the second baseman who was an all-star last year, having a good spring, hitting .333. Darvish deals 1-0. Back to the screen. And Yu Darvish so far this spring in 2 outings.
Yeah, I guess you would have to characterize Yu's first 2 games as okay. He hasn't had the command of his fastball that he normally does. Surprisingly, his off-speed pitches have been very good. He's had good command of them, but he's worked hard between starts, not only on his windup, but commanding his fastball. And so far today, he's thrown 3 pitches. One was very close to being a strike. The other 2 have been strikes. So far, so good with the fastball.
The check swing foul makes it 1-2 on Ricky Weeks. Again, Darvish worked exclusively out of the stretch in his first outing, 2 shutout innings against San Diego, and then his second time out, 3 innings against the Indians. He comes home at 1-2, and the pitch is a call strike 3. Slider maybe that backed up a little bit, Tag?
Yeah, he threw them all fastballs, and generally the hitters think this slider is a little bit high. You could kind of tell the way Napoli brought it back toward the plate that he wanted to make sure he got the call. Weeks didn't like the call. Looked like a borderline pitch. Might not have been exactly where Darvish was trying to throw it, but turned out to be successful.
All right, now Niger Morgan, the center fielder. Starting lineup, by the way, was brought to you by the City of Surprise. Morgan, who likes to call himself Tony Plush. Takes a huge swing and a miss. Big hero, of course, in Game 5 of the Division Series. Got the hit that sent the Brewers on to the League Championship Series, where they lost to the Cardinals. Just underway, 1 out, top of the first inning. Chopper off the plate to the right side. Moreland will handle that. Overhands to Darvish. Got him. Yu Darvish is a 2-time Gold Glove winner over in Japan, and in his first start, he made a spectacular play on a reaching grab on the top of the mound. He sure gets to first base in a hurry.
Well, that's something that Ron Washington has been concerned about this spring, the fielding of his pitchers. So to have Darvish come in with that kind of pedigree, I'm sure that's a welcome sight.
He's a nice big target over there as well. So 2 up and 2 down, top of the first inning, and Ryan Braun comes to the plate. He's had just 1 hit this spring in 15 at-bats. That hit a home run for the defending National League most valuable player. Darvish with that pretty high leg kick. Delivers a strike.
Well, Darvish, almost every fastball he's thrown has been a strike except for the first one, which was very close to being a strike. The velocity is a low of 93, a high of 96, right around 94. So the work he's done on his fastball, at least in the first inning, has paid pretty solid dividends.
He's a low with that pitch. As you can tell, Darvish with a very deliberate motion in the full windup, but not herky-jerky, doesn't have any dramatic pauses as many of the Japanese pitchers do. A ball and a strike. That one's popped up on the right side. Ian Kinsler fighting the sun, shields his eyes with his glove and takes care of it. And it is a very clean top of the first inning. 1-2-3 for Yu Darvish. We're heading for the bottom of the first in Surprise. Brewers nothing. Rangers coming up. First inning for Yu Darvish, he threw only 8 pitches, 2 balls and 6 strikes. Lots of smiles in the Ranger dugout. There's pitching coach Mike Maddox, and here's the Rangers starting lineup brought to you by the City of Surprise. Ian Kinsler at second base, followed by Elvis Andrus at short, Josh Hamilton in center field batting third, Adrian Beltre hitting cleanup at third base. Michael Young, the DH, bats fifth, Nelly Cruz in right field hitting sixth, Mike Napoli doing the catching and batting seventh, David Murphy in left field hitting eighth, Mitch Moreland batting ninth. The starting lineup brought to you by the City of Surprise. On the mound for the Brew Crew, 35-year-old left-hander Randy Wolf from the Los Angeles area out of Pepperdine. He has 127 career wins, 107 losses. He is the classic crafty left-hander, and Ian Kinsler stands in against him in a scoreless game. The first pitch is a little high for a ball one.
Wolf so far this spring is pitching very well. He's had 2 almost identical seasons the last couple of years. 13-game winner both seasons, over 200 innings. Last year he cut his walks by about 25%. His ERA was also down a little bit.
The guy who made his major league debut with the Phillies back in 1999. 1-1, and Kinsler lofts one in the air to right center field. Long run for Nyjer Morgan, and that one is off the wall. Morgan plays the hop, fires in towards second base, and Kinsler stands with a double. Ian Kinsler is absolutely sizzling at the plate. He has 8 hits in his last 11 at-bats. That does not include yesterday when he led off the game with a double into the left field corner that was subsequently wiped out by rain. But he has a .417 spring batting average coming into the game, and here he is with a leadoff double today.
A nice job of waiting on that curveball. Pretty good pitch to hit. But rather than try to pull it, he went with it and drove it to right center field.
That brings up Elvis Andrus, hitting .414 for the spring. He bunts. Nice one, third base side. His tourist bare hands has no play. He'll have to eat the ball. So first and third, and nobody out for the Rangers, who finally have their regular lineup back together for the first time, with some players banged up by injuries and half the team having gone to Las Vegas over the weekend. A chance finally for the regulars to play together.
That was a good bump by Elvis. His job right there is to try to get the runner from second to third. You can try to hit a ground ball to the right side, but if you're a good bunter, you lay that bunt down. If you're thrown out, you still sacrifice him to third, and if you lay it down like that, you get yourself a base hit.
Hamilton hits it in the air to Braun in left field. Tagging is Kinsler. He's coming home. The throw bounces over the head of the catcher, Lucroy. So it's 1-0 Texas. Kinsler crosses the plate, and Elvis goes down to second on the throw. 3 batters in. Rangers have a lead. Hamilton has his second RBI of the spring.
Now, Braun was going for the play at the plate without much regard to the cutoff man. Elvis tagged immediately. As soon as he saw the ball airmail the cutoff man, he was going to go to second base regardless. The throw went by. It was backed up. He had to stay at second.
Randy Wolf in nice position behind the plate, backing up, made a nice stab.
Yep.
So with Andrus at second and 1 out, here's Adrian Beltre, and the pitch is low. The Rangers this spring have only 4 wins. They've lost 11 games and they've tied 1. But with men in scoring position, they've been outstanding. They're hitting .345. Wolf delivers, and there's a smash through the right side, a base hit. Elvis around third, hitting home, and he will score without a play. The Rangers do it again with men in scoring position. Beltre picks up his 6th RBI of the spring. That ties for the club lead with Nelly Cruz and Alberto Gonzalez. 2-0 Texas in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, you pretty much would draw it up that way. Have your leadoff hitter get on with a double, move him to third, and in the process get a base hit. Hit the ball in the air, drive in the man from third, good base running, tag up and go to second on the throw home. And then with a man on second and 2 outs, get the big 2-out hit with a man in scoring position.
So Beltre is at first with 1 out. Here's Michael, riding a 7-game hitting streak. A strike to start it off. John Tumpane is the home plate umpire today. 28-year-old out of Oak Lawn, Illinois. Normally works the Pacific Coast League, but he did work some big league games last year, including some Ranger games. The 0-1 offering, and Michael hits a ground ball to deep short. Off the glove of Gonzalez, deep in the hole and into left field. Beltre will pull up at second base. And we'll see how they score that. It is a base hit for Michael Young and an 8-game hitting streak.
The Rangers pretty tough on Randy Wolf so far. Eric, I don't know if you were doing the game. I think it was a couple of years ago when he was with the Dodgers in their ballpark when he pitched like 5 or 6 innings. I don't know that he even got a hit off him in spring training. Pitched a great game, but today the Rangers are treating him pretty rudely. A lot of good pitches to hit, though.
3 singles, a double, and a sacrifice fly so far. The Rangers officially are 4 for 4, and here's Cruz taking the big curve down low for ball 1. To say Wolf is not a hard thrower is an understatement. His average fastball velocity last year was 88 miles an hour, and he threw only 50% of his pitches as fastballs. 1-0 is in there, and the count is 1-1 on Cruz.
And there it was, 88 miles an hour. That's it. That's his fastball.
You know what you're going to get. But you don't know if you're now going to see a curveball, a slider, or a changeup.
And he's got a good assortment of pitches. And when you look at a middle of the rotation to bottom of the rotation guy, he's done a great job. 215, 212 innings the last 2 years. Quality pitching. 13 and 12, 13 and 10. So he's been exactly what the Brewers were hoping to get. And he's been that kind of a pitcher pretty much his whole career.
Beltre at second and Young at first. A lighter Nelson Cruz this spring. Lost some weight early in the offseason, unintentionally due to a bacterial virus, and then decided he'd keep the weight off. Maybe this is the answer he needs to finally keep those legs healthy an entire season. So Luke Croy visits the mound to talk to Wolf. A look back at second, the 2-1 pitch. Breaking ball swung on and missed. And the count is 2-2. Yesterday, the Rangers lost a game in Las Vegas to the Cubs, 3-2, and were rained out at Maryvale Baseball Park, the home of the Brewers. In the bottom of the 4th inning, Milwaukee was leading that ball game 6-4. The Rangers haven't won a game in this ballpark since Sunday, March the 11th, when they beat the Indians, their only home win of the spring. Big looping curve, and that settles in for a call, strike 3. So Cruz is out, 2 down. First punch out for Randy Wolf. Rangers on top 2-0.
Looked like Wolf was trying to drop that on the outside corner. See the catcher set up out there. And borderline pitch. Nelly thought it was a little bit outside. Looked like the catcher might have reached just a little bit for it. But the call goes Wolf's way.
And now the Ranger catcher, Mike Napoli, catching for the first time since March the 8th. He's had a strained groin muscle. He's done some DHing since then. And he's catching Darvish today for the first time in game competition. And he looks at strike 1. 2 on, 2 outs, 2 in for the Rangers here in the bottom of the 1st inning. Check swing, and he went around. And the count is 0-2. Napoli says his crouch is a little unorthodox. Just the way he sets his feet up tend to put a little more strain on the groin muscle. He thinks maybe that's why he's had these problems in the past. And Ron Washington says he won't catch Napoli in back-to-back games for a while, but it's nice to have him back there today, at least for the 4 innings Darvish is expected to pitch. Wolf wastes one inside, a ball and 2 strikes. David Murphy would be next. It all started this inning with a ringing double by Ian Kinsler off the wall in right center field. And that's the direction the wind is blowing, out toward right center. Missing inside is Wolf. That levels the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Flagpoles out in right center field, pointing out toward those mountains. I believe those are the Bradshaw Mountains. maybe Mark Coronado, when he comes in later on.
It's like those Bradshaw Mountains in dead center might be getting a little rain right about now.
Yeah, the ones out in left center actually have some snow-capped peaks. Napoli fouls one away off to the right. You know, some of those who drove back from Las Vegas after yesterday's game said they went through quite a bit of snow on the trip home.
The Rangers were lucky in Las Vegas to get those games in. Rain was scheduled for both days. It started raining hard right after the first game, stopped in the night, and yesterday was cold and windy, but the sun came out and they were able to get both games in.
2-2 to Napoli, and there's a call, strike three. So Wolf rebounds, strikes out Cruz, and Napoli looking. After giving up 4 hits and a sacrifice fly, Rangers come up with 2 in the bottom of the first, leave a couple, and after one complete, 2-0 Rangers.
What's a Mariner?
Nothing Rangers after one, and folks, remember you can welcome the 2011 American League champions back to Texas and hear what they think about 2012 at the Rangers Welcome Home Luncheon presented by US Plus Foundation. Join us for lunch at the Arlington Convention Center Thursday, April 5th. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. Yu Darvish back to work to Travis Ishikawa, and the pitch is low. Ishikawa, former San Francisco Giant, in camp as a non-roster player, trying to win one of the available spots on the Brewers bench. The 1-0 on the way, bounces in at the plate. Low fastball, that's 2-0. Darvish, as you've probably heard, has 7 different pitches, 3 of them being fastballs. 4-seamer, a 2-seamer, and a cutter. Curve, slider, split, and change. He's working behind 2-0 and pumps that one in for a strike.
And watching before the inning started, one of the things he's going to have to get used to is after the Rangers throw the ball around, when it goes to Beltre has a habit when he throws the ball back to the pitcher to throw it about as hard as he can. And all the pitchers are used to it. And I was just watching Darvish, and Darvish bent both knees and put his glove out in front of him like a catcher for Beltre to throw it to make sure he was ready for it.
Hitters count at 3-1. A big rip by Ishikawa and fouled the fastball off. That ran the count full. Now, last time out against Cleveland, Darvish walked 4 men in 3 innings, and Yurvit Turrialba really bailed him out. He threw out 2 would-be base stealers. Darvish also got a big double play ball in his last inning of work, or he might have come out of the game. The payoff pitch. Just a little bit off plate in the mind of John Tumpain. And there's the 5th walk issued this spring by Darvish.
Yeah, that was a walk. That was a good fastball. You know, it might have been a borderline pitch. Let's watch Napoli's glove. He moved his glove a little bit out of the strike zone and then brought it back. Sometimes that's an indication it might have been an inch or 2 outside.
Really good tailing action on that fastball by Darvish. When they talk about the movement on his pitches, they're not just talking about breaking balls. And this is Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop, signed in the offseason after playing last year for Atlanta. The veteran Venezuelan puts a slow breaking ball in there, and Darvish has a breaking ball even slower than that. Gonzalez, 14-year big league veteran. Ishikawa at first. A high hold by Darvish. There's a bad-looking swing.
That movement you're talking about right there. Good sinker. We were talking to Mike Maddox yesterday about Darvish and about all the pitches he throws, and he kind of labeled it just like you did, Eric, that he throws 3 different fastballs, but essentially it's one pitch. It's a fastball. Most pitchers throw a 2-seam fastball, a 4-seam fastball. A lot of pitchers throw a cutter. Then he'll change speeds on his curveball, change speeds on his slider, and sometimes call it a slow curve and a curve, 2 different pitches. It's really a curveball. And then his split finger and his changeup are off-speed pitches. One is a split, one is a changeup, one might drop a little bit more. But Mike was saying essentially it's 4 pitches, just a lot of variations of the 4 pitches.
Breaking ball in 1-2, lofted out to Hamilton in center. It's getting a ride from the wind, but Josh is there on the track to haul it in. And Ishikawa retreats to first base. The ball definitely carried farther than it normally would. And keep in mind that in Arizona, the ball carries very well anyway.
It looked like a breaking ball. It stayed up a little bit. Gonzalez was kind of upset that he got underneath it. The way he hit the ball, he didn't expect it to go that far either. And all the way to the warning track.
1 out and 1 on. It's 2-0 Rangers in the second inning. George Kataris is the batter. The backup catcher on this club. He's DHing today.
Eric, were you doing the game early when Darvish gave up the ball off the wall that he said wasn't hit that good and the hitter took exception to it?
I was doing that.
What was your take? Was it hit well or?
I thought it was hit pretty well, but it carried much farther than I thought it would.
So a little bit of both then.
Yeah, off the bat of Will Venable of San Diego. There goes the runner. Fouled at the plate. Now, the one thing we really haven't seen from Darvish is a quick slide step. When Torrealba threw out those 2 runners in his last start, it was without Darvish going to the slide step. He had, I was told by scouts after the game, kind of an average time to home plate. But those who have followed Darvish in Japan tell me that he will use a slide step when there's a legitimate base stealer aboard. Sometimes. He's in on the count 0-2 to Kataris. Lucroy on deck. Missed way wide as didn't get that breaking ball to break. Darvish, as you see, working in 3/4 sleeves as he did last time. Everything he does is under such scrutiny as we get to learn more about this 6'5", 220-pounder. Born in Osaka, Japan, makes his home now in Kobe City. 25 years of age. National celebrity in Japan before he even left high school through a no-hitter in the big nationally televised high school tournament. Was a first-round draft pick over there by the Nippon Ham Fighters. Didn't take long to get to the big leagues either. Cut and the miss by Kataris. Throw down to first. Almost strike him out, throw him out. But Kataris is out of there. Second punch out for Darvish in the game. 2 away here in the second. Rangers on top 2-0, and Jonathan Lucroy makes his way to the plate.
You know, when you hear Ron Washington talk about Darvish having the ability to throw the fastball in the strike zone and get swings and misses and get people out, the reason is because of what you were talking about, Eric. He's got excellent movement on his fastball, so he doesn't have to nibble. We've seen Matt Tazaka a lot for the Red Sox almost look like he doesn't want to throw a strike. They feel Darvish has the kind of stuff where he doesn't have to nibble like that. The movement will take care of that.
He's facing a very hot hitter now in Lucroy, who's hitting .565, 13 hits in 23 at-bats this spring. The only base runner for Milwaukee so far, Ishikawa, drew a walk on a close 3-2 pitch. No one stayed up and in, and that's the slow curve from Darvish. A ball on the strike. I joked with Napoli about how many fingers he would need to call all the Darvish pitches, and he says, well, the fastball is the finger number 1 for the 4 and 2 seamer, depending on whether he's moving the finger or not. And the cutter is worked off the slider sign. And then the split and the change are all off the 4 fingers. So that's how he comes up with 7 different signs. The runner goes on 2-1, and the pitch hits Lucroy.
An off-speed pitch, curveball or slider that just got away from him. You know, there's been a lot of talk about a Japanese pitcher coming to the States and having to throw a different type of baseball. The baseball evidently is a little bit smaller in Japan, but the size of the ball hasn't been the issue with Darvish. It's been the slickness of the ball, getting a good grip on the ball. I guess the feeling is that the ball in Japan is a little bit easier to get a grip on, not necessarily because of the size, but because of how slippery it is. And that really is compounded here because our pitchers feel the same way about the ball in Arizona, just because of the drier air. But that's been an issue, trying to get a good grip on the ball. That may have had something to do with his lack of command of his fastball.
Norichika Aoki played in the Central League in Japan. Darvish played in the Pacific League. They only faced each other a few times over there. Aoki signed by Milwaukee through the posting system, which the Rangers used to get the rights to sign Darvish. He's a 2-time batting champion over there, a 6-time Gold Glove winner with the Yakult Swallows, and a career .329 hitter. Deep crouch on this left-handed batting outfielder, choking up on the bat. 2 balls and a strike. 2-0 Rangers, top of the 2nd inning, and now Darvish working with the tying runs on. A lot of clouds have moved in now, and not much blue sky left up above. There is some chance of rain today. A rip and a miss by Aoki.
Well, that pitch was 90 miles an hour. It looked like a cutter. It had that kind of movement. It went down slightly and in slightly. And that's just, again, a variation of a fastball with significant movement, and got a swing and a miss.
2 on, 2 outs, a 2-2 pitch. Headed for the middle. Kinsler can't get it. Ishikawa scores. Around the third base goes Lucroy. Aoki with a hit off Darvish. And the Brewers are on the board. It's 2-1 Texas.
Well, not an exceptionally hard hit ball, but a well-placed bouncer up the middle gets that first run in. Ishikawa walked on a pitch that was close to being a strike. He threw the cutter down and in for a swing and a miss. It looked like he tried to make that ball tail away. It stayed up a little bit. Not a hard hit ball, but he got the bat on it.
And that is the first Brewer hit. Brings up the number 9 batter, the veteran Cesar Izturis. Rip and a miss. Izturis last year with the Orioles missed almost the entire season due to injuries. And he is trying to win a job as a backup infielder. And apparently has a leg up on that position. Veteran switch hitter. Wave and a miss, and he's in a hole at 0-2.
Now, right now, it's hard to look at Izturis as a regular missing a whole season and not being much of an offensive player, but he's a really good defensive player. So I guess if you're looking for a utility player, his ability to play shortstop well in other positions makes him a pretty good guy.
Well, first and third here. 2 outs. Yesterday, the Brewers stole a run in a first and third situation. Rangers made the throw through to second. There's Darvish, that fake to third, look to first move. Didn't really try to sell it all that well.
I think he's just working on it, working on the mechanics of it.
Showing that he has it. Ricky Weeks would be next. Here comes the 0-2. Got him looking. The inning is over. So Darvish preserves the lead. And the Brewers come up with a run on 1 hit, a walk, a hit batsman. Runners left at first and third, and it's the middle of the second. It reads Texas 2, Milwaukee 1. Purchase your tickets for Wednesday home games on TexasRangers.com and save 50% in select seating areas. The first Ozarka website Wednesday is April 11th against the Mariners. It's also a $1 hot dog night. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com/specials. Given today. Randy Wolf getting ready to deal him into David Murphy, Mitch Moreland, and Ian Kinsler, the 8, 9, and 1 batters. It's lefty against lefty, and Murphy has been excelling in these situations, but this time he lifts one in the air to short left. Ryan Braun coming on, gathers it in. Murphy's out on one pitch. I said, Murphy, get to see another lefty today. He said, oh, yeah, who's pitching? And I said, it's Randy Wolf. He said, we faced Ted Lilly last week. Same guy.
Pretty much right about that.
Well, he said Lilly might have a better curveball.
Yeah, and David ripped one down the right field line first time up against Lilly for a triple.
One down on one pitch, and here is Mitch Moreland. Got off to a very slow start this spring, but since then 8 for his last 18 to get the average up to 194. He's going left on left, and the pitch is a strike from Randy Wolf. Rangers got 2 in the first inning. Hamilton and Beltre with the RBIs. Hamilton a sacrifice fly, and Beltre a single after Kinsler had doubled and Andrews beat out a bunt.
Eric, I don't know if it's because you're here today, but we have a couple of entrees in our cookie delivery. Lynn and Dean Thurmond sent up some amaretto and raisin cookies.
Oh, they're trying to get me drunk.
Yeah, I think they thought it would relax you a little bit. They want us to give a little shout out to the Dallas Ski Club, which we'll do. And Shirley Coast, our cookie lady, sent up some Mench's Munchies, which looks like a variation of chocolate with peanut butter.
I believe we've had those a number of times before.
So thank you very much to the Thurmans and to Shirley Coast.
Moreland floats one out toward left, and that'll fall in front of Ryan Braun. So Mitch Moreland is aboard. The Rangers have their 5th hit of the ball game. They are leading 2-1 in the bottom of the second inning.
Good job by Mitch against a lefty. Had a breaking ball, a little bit down, a little bit away. He waits on it and drives it into the left field gap for a base hit. Good job of waiting on it. Doing just what you should with that pitch.
Now the red-hot Kinsler rifled one up the alley in right center field to the wall in the first inning to get the Ranger offense started. Off speed and a little bit low. Kinsler on Saturday hit 2 home runs. And with that, he grabbed a shy of the club lead for home runs this spring. The other man with 2 is Yangervis Solarte. Murphy hit his second yesterday, but it got wiped out by the rainout. Brad Hopp also homered yesterday before the game was washed away. And that was one strange game for 3.5 innings and swirling winds. A lot of very odd plays. 2-0 and it's a strike.
Have any idea what that sign says behind home plate, Eric?
I wonder if that's the Gloops sign in Japanese.
Must be.
Rangers announced yesterday their new partnership, and we've seen the sign in English with Gloops, a Japanese company. Ripped foul on the third base side. That's Dave Anderson, the Ranger third base coach. Gary Pettis, the Ranger first base coach. With the team split over the weekend, Spike Owen and Brant Brown were the base coaches here in the games in Arizona. They are normally on Bobby Jones' staff at Round Rock. They can already read Japanese. Maybe.
I have a feeling it's easier to read than it is to write.
Got him looking on the pitching side, and Kinsler didn't think so. And we've been told that this sign was not the Gloop sign. There's the Gloop sign now in what I believe is some form of English.
What is Gloops? Do you know?
Apparently they make games that you can play over the internet.
Oh, okay.
Socially interactive games. 2-1 Rangers. Runner at first, 2 outs for Elvis. Breaking ball in there for a strike from Randy Wolf.
You a big game player?
No. Yourself?
No, not at all.
I'm
still trying to learn how to play Pong.
Well, we were the last 2 guys in the world to actually get smartphones.
That's right.
So, probably not good candidates to be internet game players. Hamilton on deck. And Andrews hooks it down the left field line, and that'll fall for a base hit. Braun plays it on a hop. Stopping at second base is Moreland. 2 more hits for Elvis Andrus today. He has 14 hits this spring. He is the club leader. 14 hits for Elvis in just 12 games, and most of those games he comes out of in the middle innings.
Elvis really looks good. He spent the winter working out. His upper body is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, still slim, hasn't taken away from his quickness. But as he matures into his mid-20s, it just seems like better things are still to come for him.
1, 2 outs for Josh. Sends one arching up onto the roof on the left side. Sacrifice fly his first time. Hit it the opposite way to left field. Ron Washington very happy with the way Josh Hamilton has exerted his leadership this spring. And that one's not hit very well in the air to short right field. Aoki make it. Morgan pounds the mitt. And he takes care of it. There's a Nigel Morgan in right field. Aoki in center field. 2 hits, no runs for the Rangers in the second. Going to the third, it's 2-1 Rangers. It's the Rangers 2, the Brewers 1, going to the top of the third inning. Yu Darvish has fanned 3 hitters so far in the ballgame.
He's had better command of his fastball, but his complementary pitches have been excellent. He gets a strikeout, first strikeout of the game. Ricky Weeks on a slider. That looked like a cutter to strike out Contreras. And then one right on the outside corner. That was a strikeout of his tourist. So good stuff by Darvish today. He's mixed in all his pitches. His fastball has been right around the plate. Even the balls that have missed have been close. Given up a run, but thrown the ball well.
13 balls, 22 strikes so far. As Weeks bats for the second time at the top of the Brewer order. Ricky Weeks out of Southern University. A guy who has been very injury prone and got hurt again last year. Had an ankle injury, played 118 games. One of the more powerful leadoff hitters in the mold of an Ian Kinsler. Though he no longer steals bases at the rate that Kinsler does. Morgan on deck, and then Braun, the top 3 for the Brewers, who last year won the same number of games as the Rangers. They were 96 and 66. Darvish missing badly that time with the curve. Darvish threw a couple of bullpen sessions since that wild outing he had against the Indians. He didn't throw live batting practice, which Ranger pitchers normally do between starts. And again, he's using the full windup in a game for the first time. Down goes Ricky Weeks.
When he keeps his fastball down, throws that two-seam fastball and keeps it down, he gets excellent movement. And already in the game into the third inning, we've seen probably 3 swings and misses at that pitch just slightly out of the strike zone. Tough pitch to lay off of, especially when you have 2 strikes. And it's been a good pitch for him today.
Yeah, Andy Hawkins, the Ranger bullpen coach, who supervised that Saturday bullpen session, really big on that two-seamer. He says when he keeps it low, it has enough movement. It can legitimately be called a sinker.
Mm-hmm. Well, just based on what we've seen, I would certainly agree with that.
Can get that real good side-to-side, almost screwball action pitch. I believe that's the pitch in Japan they call the shuto. Get that one at the knees, off speed. A ball and 2 strikes. Darvish gave a run in the second inning. A run coming with 2 outs on a base hit up the middle by Aoki. 2-1 Texas in the third. And this is down low.
That's that same pitch. 90 miles an hour, great movement. That time Morgan was able to lay off of it. If he did swing at it, he might have ticked it, but he might have missed it too. He wasn't going to hit it very well.
Chopper foul past Garth Edwards, the first base coach.
Well, so far in the game, the things that he's worked on, the mechanics of his windup and command of his fastball seem to be pretty good. Looks pretty comfortable with his windup. May not feel that way, but it looks that way to us anyway.
And apparently in Japan, there were many games where he would work exclusively from the stretch. There were games where he would work part of the game from the stretch with nobody on. This is a payoff pitch to Nyjer Morgan. And Moreland makes the backhand play on the grounder over the bag, and outrunning Morgan to the bag with ease is Darvish. Tremendous athlete, gets off the mound in a hurry. It's the second time he's taken a feed from Moreland on a ground ball off Morgan's bat. So 2 outs, and Ryan Braun coming to the plate as you see Darvish heading off the mound.
That's how you do it. They practice that almost every day in spring training. It's funny, you practice that for 30 days in spring training, and then the season starts, and you don't do it anymore. I guess you better get the work in spring.
And maybe you should keep doing it. Apparently, in the old days, the pitcher's fielding practice continued during the regular season.
I think most managers throughout the season, from time to time, will get the infielders and outfielders out there for a day of fundamentals before batting practice. So it's not like they don't ever do it. You just don't do it quite as much.
Usually if things are going real bad.
Yeah, it's usually after the game you talked about yesterday. Boot a few balls, pitcher miss a couple, going to try to cover first base. Probably be out there the next day working on it.
Ryan Braun popped out to second his first time up. Well, Braun says he's going to start playing back-to-back games now. He takes it really slow early in spring training. What a year last year. Second in the league in batting, second in RBI, second in runs, won the MVP. Pretty close vote over Matt Kemp. In the air to deep left field, Murphy going back, reaches out and stabs it on the warning track. And it's the second 1-2-3 inning of the game for Yu Darvish. Rangers leading 2-1 after 2.5. Earlier this month, Emily Jones had a chance to talk with Yu Darvish. Let's take a look. The Japanese.
Pretty impressive.
That was great.
Very nice answers by Yu Darvish, too. Very well thought out answers.
Apparently, we have more of that interview to play for you, perhaps later today. The Rangers take a 2-1 lead into the bottom of the third inning. Beltre, Young, and Cruz to do the swinging against Randy Wolf. Adrian hammers one high in the air to right. Iger Morgan drifts back to the track. Pumps the mitt. Makes the catch. Beltre now 1 for 2. Had an RBI single through the right side on a wicked ground ball in the first inning. And Michael Young is next. Young, a ground ball single that just barely eluded the shortstop Alex Gonzalez on the backhand side, giving Michael an 8-game hitting streak. Michael chose not to go to Vegas. The Ranger veteran players were asked by Ron Washington if they wanted to go or not over the weekend, and Michael said he didn't want to go. I asked him today, why not? And he said, I have only one speed when I'm in Vegas, and that's for the off season. Today's power numbers are brought to you by Reliant. A look at Michael's numbers from last year. The batting average and runs batted in were career highs. And truly a tremendous year for Michael, who went into spring training, not fully knowing what his role would be. Not entirely happy about it, but things worked out all right.
They sure did. Hate to think where the Rangers would have been without Michael Young.
Alex Gonzalez down for this roller and throws out Michael. So 2 retired by Randy Wolf in the bottom of the third. Rangers leading 2-1. They have out-hit the Brew Crew 6-1.
There's a lot of times last year where key players were out of the lineup. The one guy that was in the lineup every day was Michael Young. When Beltre went down, he played third. If he needed to, he played first. He was ready to play wherever they needed him. And it's a good thing they had him last year. I'm glad all that worked out in spring training.
Moving around the batting order, too.
Yeah.
As Cruz fouls one back, he struck out looking his first time up. It appears Ron Washington has Michael slotted in the 5 spot. as he did last year early in the year. If the Rangers can stay healthy, maybe he'll stay there.
All right, buddy. Okay? Yep.
Ball and a strike now to Nelson Cruz. Michael wound up hitting cleanup in the second half of the season once Beltre got hurt, and that's where he batted more often than any other spot. Michael hit 89 times in the cleanup spot.
Yeah, and people will say Michael's not a traditional fourth-place hitter, and maybe he's not. But when you hit 377 with men in scoring position, you can hit anyone on the lineup.
They're driving 106 runs. Most teams will take that from your cleanup hitter.
Definitely.
No matter how he does it.
He had 11 home runs, but he had 41 doubles to go along with it.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs as Wolf fires and misses inside and low. A full count on Nelly Cruz. This game number 17 of the spring. What was to have been a 34-game exhibition schedule will now be 33 as a result of the rain out yesterday. And that one's off the plate a little bit. So Cruz has himself a walk. And that is the first free ticket issued by Randy Wolf. Remember, the Rangers do play a home exhibition game against the Mexico City Red Devils on Tuesday, April the 3rd. That's a 7 o'clock start at Rangers Ballpark in Arlington. Chance to see some of the new improvements in the ballpark before the regular season gets underway on Friday the 6th. Napoli struck out looking his first time. Fouls one back. Sun and the clouds playing a game of peekaboo right now. But the temperature today very brisk in the low 50s. Crowd is pretty well bundled up here, even though sitting out in the sun. It is supposed to warm up over the course of this week. I like that blanket.
Give you an idea how chilly it is, even in the sun, even with the sun out.
Wolf turning that one over away from Napoli and missing a 2-1. Yeah, the berm not as well populated as it normally is. No doubt the weather has a lot to do with that. With the wind blowing out toward the outfield, it would be one of the cooler areas in the park. And I'm referring to the weather there. It's always cool to sit on the berm. Today might be cold as well as cool. Wolf blowing on his hands between pitches. Comes to the belt and now to the plate. And Napoli will take the walk. Back-to-back 2-out walks.
I think one of the things that made Napoli such a good offensive player last year was his ability to work the count, make the pitcher come in with a pitch or take it and work a walk. Very disciplined hitter last year.
An RBI opportunity for David Murphy. First and second, 2 away. Murph first ball hitting, flied out to left his first time up. Ron Washington saying this weekend the left field center field situation is still wide open as far as he's concerned. So Murphy in the mix to be a regular, or at least a platoon regular if the Rangers do it the way they've done it in postseason. Murphy would play against all the righties. Perhaps Craig Gentry against the lefties. But right now, Julio Bourbon is having a very good spring. Trying to win back his job in center field. Little bloop, short right center field. Coming on hard. Out. You can't get it. That'll fall, and it'll score Nelly Cruz. Napoli over to third. An RBI single for David Murphy. Another hit off a lefty for Murph. And it's 3-1 Rangers.
And I think at this stage of David's career, that's probably right in the front of his mind, trying to play well enough to earn the right to play against some left-handed pitching. Got that ball a little bit off the end of the bat, but he got the bat on it, a breaking ball. dumped it into right field for a base hit. And the more opportunities, the more times Ron Washington sees him have a good at-bat against a lefty, the more confident he is to use him that way during the season.
Well, David, in each of the last 4 years, has had between 400 and 435 at-bats. He'd like to maybe break the 500 barrier. As Moreland hits one high in the air to left, Ryan Braun takes care of that. And there's a souvenir for a spectator on the berm. But the Rangers, a 2-out rally as the walks hurt Randy Wolf. And after 3, Rangers 3, Brewers 1. Yu Darvish has thrown 50 pitches so far. He works with a 3-1 lead as we hit the 4th inning. He'll face the middle 3 in the Brewer batting order: Ishikawa, Gonzalez, and Contreras. When Darvish will pitch next is something of a mystery. Ishikawa walked and scored his first time up, and he takes a strike. His turn would be due to come up this weekend against the hated Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
Ooh, save him. Save him.
Let him pitch against them.
No, I'd save him. Break him out for the first time during the regular season.
Ron Washington said very early in the spring that he would not hide Darvish from any of his American League or division foes, but it was almost a knee-jerk reaction to a question in a big group of press people.
Right.
I'm not sure it was said with total conviction, or even if Wash had at that point given that much thought to it. But now that the opportunity presents itself this weekend, you can always find a camp game. You can create a game for Darvish to pitch. Let him pitch a minor league game if you want. There's all kinds of options to not show him to the Angels. The Rangers play the Angels Saturday and Sunday. Saturday here in Surprise and Sunday in Tempe.
I think a lot of times late in spring training, when a veteran pitcher pitches against a divisional rival, he might not pitch the same type of a game that he would pitch during the course of the season. Doesn't really care what the result of the game is. He wants to get his work in. So he might work on other pitches than the pitches he would get certain hitters out in certain situations. I don't know, if Darvish feels like he can do that. There's so much pressure on him to perform even in spring training.
3-2 pitch fouled away.
Whether or not that would work for him, I don't know.
How much of an advantage would it be for the Angel hitters to at least get a look at his release point and the movement on his pitches?
I think it would be a big advantage. And, in the course of a season, a pitcher with good stuff will face a team 5 or 6 times. We're going to see Felix Hernandez 5 or 6 times. And if he's on his game, it doesn't matter. We're going to have a hard time hitting him because he's got great stuff. And the same is true with Darvish. But at the same time, there's been so much hype. They've heard so much about him. He throws 7 or 8 different kind of pitches. Just to get a look at him, I think would give them a little bit of a level of comfort when the season started. Doesn't mean they're going to have success if he throws a great game, makes his pitches. But if I were a hitter, I'd like to see him once before the regular season just to see what it looked like.
Ishikawa draws a walk. Both of the walks issued by Darvish today have gone to Ishikawa. Rangers lead 3-1. Alex Gonzalez is next. And that one moves him off the plate a little bit. The Rangers won't play the Angels until May the 11th, a 3-game series in Arlington. And they won't go to Anaheim until the first weekend in June. The Rangers don't play division rival Oakland until even later on in May. They do have a 4-game set actually with Seattle as part of the first homestand. Remember, it's the White Sox for 3 on the weekend, and then Seattle coming in for 4. And the other mystery surrounding Darvish now is which game he will pitch on that first homestand, whether he'll pitch the 3rd or the 4th game of the season. That one gets away from Napoli, and down to second base goes Ishikawa.
And if he starts against Seattle, I'm going to get there early if I want to eat up in the press box, because it's going to be hard to find a seat, I think, pitching against Ichiro.
I have a feeling it's going to be hard to get a seat in the press room for all of Darvish's starts this year. I think it's going to take on that kind of a special event feel. It certainly did in spring training for his first 2 starts. Things really did calm down today a little bit. 2-1.
John Blake has been through it twice now. He was the Red Sox PR man when Matsuzaka came to the Red Sox. That was such a media crush that they had to build a different room up in the press box to accommodate all the members of the media. Now he'll go through it again with you, Darvish.
And what a valuable guy to have in the Ranger organization this year, John Blake.
Yep.
2 balls, 2 strikes. One big hop to Beltre, who looks the runner back, and there's the first out of the 4th inning. John Blake, of course, an all-star every year.
Yep.
This year certainly put to the test quite early.
Well, one of the things that you notice with Darvish is he can throw all his pitches pretty much whenever he wants to. He's not locked into his fastball, and when he is, he's got good movement on it. So I think today he may say that he's capable of better, but at the same time, I think it's been an impressive outing for him. He's accomplished the things that he wanted to accomplish coming into the game.
Kataris, the hitter, takes a little low. Ron Washington very happy with Darvish's demeanor, the way he handled himself in the tough going in the game against Cleveland, and also the way he's blended in with his teammates. One point that Wash made is that he's seeking out teammates. Michael Young told me today that Darvish, during stretching every day, picks a different teammate to stretch with so he can become acquainted with him. Something that
very nice
that Yoshi Tateyama did last year when he joined the Rangers. Nothing gets a couple of guys to bond better than
lying on the ground stretching together in the Arizona sunshine.
There it is. A nice relaxing activity. Darvish can work on his English a little bit. Well, there's a 4-pitch walk to Kataris, and Darvish has now walked 3 in the ballgame, 2 in the inning. And Jonathan Lucroy is back. There's 2 guys stretching out on the berm, getting to know each other a little bit better.
It'd be one thing to be stretching with a ball club. It'd be a little different if we zoom back in on them and they're doing their stretching routines out there on the berm together. It'd be a little more alarming to watch.
Jonathan Lucroy was hit by a breaking ball in the back his first time up. Ishikawa is at second. Kataris is at first. Rangers are a double play depth at second and short. That one down and away for ball 1. Darvish got a big double play to punctuate his performance against Cleveland last time out. That was last Tuesday. And that was in Goodyear. This is the first time Darvish has pitched in Surprise Stadium. His first start was in Peoria against the Padres, and the second one in Goodyear against the Indians. So the friendly folks of Surprise seeing him for the first time. And we'll get a chance to visit in a little while with friendly Mark Coronado of the Surprise Community Recreation Services Department.
This pitch coming up will be Darvish's 70th pitch. Tanner Scheppers is warmed and ready if Darvish extends this inning and gets his pitch count up much higher.
Darvish, his first time on the mound through 36 pitches, the second time 61. One ball and 2 strikes. Lucroy, a slow one hopper to Beltre to second for one. Kinsler on to first, got them both. And Darvish ends his outing with a broken bat double play ball. Nicely done by Yu Darvish this afternoon. Three to 1 Rangers as we head into the bottom of the 4th inning. And by the way, a great job translating for Yu Darvish. At least we think it's a great job by Joe Furukawa, Rangers international scout, who will be with the Rangers all season long. And we're happy to be now with Mark Coronado, the Director of Community and Recreation Services for the City of Surprise. We called it a sleepy town of surprise when we first arrived here 10 years ago. Mark, I don't think we can say that anymore.
I don't think so anymore. It's unbelievable, the growth, and it's due really in great part to this facility.
Ticket sales are up again this year. That keeps on happening.
You know, the whole revenue bucket, the baseball side has their business and the business side has their business. And from a revenue perspective, the Rangers have been everything and more. Ticket sales are up. And, of course, that fills the other bucket, so we're happy.
Ian Kinsler singles through the hole on the left side, and he is now 2 for 3 on the afternoon.
Mark, is this really the model that works the best for a city, to have 2 teams, 1 park, two complexes? Does that make it work economically?
There's no question about it. And then you could see the footprint here with the campus to our east, and City Hall and the tennis facility, the aquatics facility, the library. You know, when you put this kind of investment, $48 million, into one area, you have to maximize the opportunities.
Elvis one-hops Ricky Weeks. He gets the out at second base on Kinsler. And Andrews aboard on the fielder's choice.
What are some of the new businesses that have located in Surprise over the last few years?
You know, you don't get to see it here, but to the south we have rail, and that's very enticing to economic development opportunities. So we've actually had two companies from Spain located in Surprise, and they're manufacturing Rio Glass and Gestamp. They're employing about 400 individuals. And for Surprise, a city like ourselves, that's a big accomplishment. And Gestamp is actually in the second phase of development, so some big time stuff going on the economic development side.
Great. When we got here, this was a town of 30,000, I believe.
That's right.
10 years ago. And now?
Well, the last census said we were about 125, and
wow.
This time of year we're probably at 130, 140 with the winter visitors here
wow.
on the Sun City side. And you know, the demographic has changed tremendously too. We when we started talking to the Rangers back in 2000, 2001, some of the old guys like John McMichael and Mike Kramer, if you remember the names,
sure.
They were a little concerned that the average age of our residents was about 65 because Sun City was our population. Well, today, you know, the demographic is really flipped, and we're most so 60%, probably more so on a population of under 45. So you can see a lot of families have moved into this place.
Hamilton out on strikes. There are 2 outs. So let me get this straight. If I move to Surprise, would I actually get younger?
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. Yes, you would.
Maybe that's what I need to do at this stage of my life.
Yeah, Eric and I are not too thrilled about John McMichael's assessment of people 65. Now, we're not quite there yet, but we're knocking on the door now.
Understood. Yes, you know, it's been amazing to watch. I mean, back in the heyday, 2003, 4, and 5, we were building 7,000 homes a year. Kind of figured that out.
Wow.
You know, a lot of hyper growth and directly, related. When you do surveys, this complex, this campus is one of the major reasons people have moved to Surprise for the recreational opportunities and then the entertainment opportunities.
3-1 Rangers here in the bottom of the 4th. We're visiting with Mark Coronado, the Director of Community and Recreation Services for the city of Surprise.
How about hotel space? Has that increased dramatically as well with the population?
Oh, yes. We were less than 100 room nights when you guys started out here in inaugural year 2003, and we're up to about 800, 850. I think we counted back in 2003. We had about 14 restaurants, and today we're well over 100. So growth is here to take care of the population.
There goes Elvis, and Lucroy throws him out. And that ends the Ranger 4th inning. All right, Mark will stick around with us, I hope, for the top half of the 5th inning. We've completed 4 here in Surprise this afternoon. Rangers lead the Brewers 3-1. Rangers 3, Brewers 1 as we go to the 5th inning, and Tanner Shepard takes over on the mound for Yu Darvish, who gave up 1 run on 1 hit in his 4 innings of work, walked 3, hit a batter, threw a wild pitch, and struck out 4. And now the flame-throwing right-hander out of Fresno State, 25-year-old Tanner Shepard. Oki takes low for a ball. Oki had a ground ball single up the middle that drove in the only run off Darvish. That came back in the 2nd with 2 outs. Cesar Izturis on deck and Ricky Weeks to follow.
Shepard's last game was over against the Dodgers, and he really put it together for 2 innings. He had excellent velocity on his fastball, threw a couple of really good curveballs, a couple of good changeups, and had excellent command of all his pitches. So 2 excellent innings, and see if he can come back from the 3-0 count. Throwing the ball hard, 96, 97.
Hard thrower, 2 and 4 seam fastball, slider, and he's added a changeup this year. That's hit well, base hit for Aoki. He is 2 for 2. We're happy to have Mark Coronado still with us, the Director of Community and Recreation Services for the city of Surprise. I'm always amazed, Mark, at how well this field is kept in condition and how they keep coming up with new interesting stuff on the field. The 10th anniversary logo on the field behind home plate this year. The baseball out in center field, not only mown into the grass, but this year painted into the grass. There goes the runner. New catcher behind the plate, Luis Martinez, and the throw not in time.
We have a great ground maintenance staff, and I know your coaches on both sides, the Royals side and the Rangers side, will attest to that. And Joe Kennedy, our ground maintenance manager, has done a great job here. And he has that artistic flavor, and sometimes I try to figure out what the heck he is putting out there in the outfield grass. But our logo does look pretty nice, and that really attracts and really is complimentary to our 10th anniversary. We're glad to have it.
Now, how big a challenge is it to have the field ready and in this kind of shape when you've got a game every day for almost 4 or 5 weeks?
I got to tell you, this was probably the biggest challenge. This is my 19th spring. I was over in Peoria with the Mariners and Padres before I got here, and we had the Koreans here for 30 days, if you guys remember. We had the Nexen Heroes and the Kia Tigers. And they played about 7-8 games in this facility, and we're out on the backside. And quite a challenge, quite a challenge.
Now, up on the top of the hill in center field, that's some of the landscaping.
We've been really fortunate to be able to keep this place up, and the mayor and council and our city management team has really put a priority here. This is the jewel, and I really believe it is the model on what the Glendale facility became, what the Cincinnati Reds and the Indians facility became in Goodyear. And if you kind of look at Talking Stick, you can see a lot of similarities as well. And I'm proud to tell you this only cost $48 million, and the other facilities were costing $120. So I think we did a pretty good job. Our debt service is a little different than theirs these days.
And what happens after the teams leave at the beginning of April? What happens in this facility?
Well, we get asked that all the time. Mark, what do you do the rest of the year? And, we right now are one of the largest Cal Ripken baseball programs in the country. I think we're second to a league in New Jersey. We have 190 teams, close to about 2,000 kids playing. They're going to play throughout the months of April, May, and June, and then they'll go into tournament play. We play T-ball games in the stadium here when you guys leave. High school all-star games and high school baseball games and tournament games will take off. We actually even play high school football all-star games in the summer here and in the fall. So it's one of the unique design features here. That's why our lines are a little deeper, because when we were in Peoria, we couldn't put a football field totally in the outfield. So you could actually put a football field from foul pole to foul pole and never really get into the turf area, to the dirt area of the infield.
Isturis called out on strikes with the first out of the inning. Aoki is at second with 1 out for Weeks. Rangers lead 3-1. You saw the Ozarka numbers on Tanner Shepard's spring. Shepard's now exclusively a reliever in the thoughts of the Rangers. The change occurring last year when a back injury kept him on the shelf for the first half of the season. Shepard's pitched at Round Rock and at Frisco, and then had a great season in the Venezuelan Winter League. Ricky Weeks has struck out twice today, both times against Darvish, once looking at a slider, once swinging at a low fastball. How about you, Darvish? Has he had an impact on the economy of surprise?
Oh my, I could tell you. First the Koreans and the Japanese, and the Asian connection was here, and we had a press conference here a couple of weeks ago, and we had it up in the back room here, one of our sports rooms here, and John Blake and I were just kind of shaking our heads. I mean, we had 200 people, standing room only, and from all over the world, and just a great piece of recognition for surprise. When people talk about what it costs to operate this place, we tend to forget that media exposure, that bounce we get all over the country and all over the world internationally now. Sure. So Darvish is more than just pitching on the mound today for us. He's been putting surprise on the map all month long.
I know you guys had to construct some special tents for the press conferences too. Something new, or are you guys in the habit of building?
No. I mean, John Blake called us right before Christmas and says, guys, it's going to be different, and it has been. I mean, your fans last week during spring break, this is unbelievable. We broke records on our merchandise store. I mean, selling $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 worth of merchandise. And our Sunday game or a Saturday game with the Diamondbacks. For spring training, when you have a $250,000 gross game, you only have 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 seats. So, I mean, you got to look at that's just a huge revenue producer. And, we've never grossed more than $4 million in a year, and we're already on track. We've eclipsed probably about 2.5 with about 14 games to go. So we're real excited, and that's all due to the Rangers. No question about it.
I know one of the games where all our fans were down here, as soon as the gates opened, there was a line out the merchandise store, probably 10 yards long, people just waiting to get into the store.
And that was a phone call that John Blake said, hey, we got to do something for our fans. They're going to be coming here in droves. And so we had to actually do a new entrance for you guys here on the east side of the parking lot, if you notice, just for the Rangers.
Yeah.
And we're counting about 300 to 400 cars in the morning starting at 9:30.
Wow.
So pretty exciting stuff for you guys, for us as well.
I noticed there's a couple of fairly new Japanese restaurants in town. Has you, Darvish, made an appearance at any of them?
I don't know about that. I've seen I've seen Tanner at a few of ours here. Yeah. He's behaving himself, but
glad to hear it.
We have Hayashi down the road, and I know he's very excited to have the Japanese contingent. They've been a mainstay there.
Good.
Ricky Weeks draws a walk-off Shepherd's. Rangers are leading 3-1 in the top of the 5th inning. They have out-hit the Brewers 8-2. And Niger Morgan, up for the third time, has grounded out twice to Mitch Moreland. A new Ranger battery in this inning. Shepherd's on the mound and Luis Martinez behind the plate. Darvish ended his outing by getting Lucroy to ground into a 5-4-3 double play. Morgan a little tougher to double up. And there's a rip and a miss. When people come out to this stadium, are they specifically looking for seats in a certain area? Because this is one of these ballparks where every seat is a great seat.
Our number one call in the box office is we want to sit next to Nolan Ryan, close to Nolan Ryan, because Nolan's gracious enough after the ball games to autograph on most days when he doesn't have a baseball meeting. And sometimes he's there for an hour after a ball game. But that is a number one call. I want to sit where Nolan Ryan sits so I can get an autograph after the ball game.
This could be two. Kinsler bobbles it and gets only one. So runners now at second and third. And Orion Braun will be the batter. A good test for Tanner Shepherd's with the Rangers leading by the score of 3-1. Given any thought to talking to the Rangers about making that a special premium row and selling some of those tickets next to Nolan?
I talked to Jimmy Sundberg quite a bit about premium seats here, and I think with your popularity, we're probably going to join that fad that there's some of these games here where in some seat locations we can probably upgrade. I mean, it's a choice seat, but every seat in this place is close enough to the field, and your most expensive seat's $25. The grass is $7. Great bargain. You're not going to catch that at a big league park, that's for sure.
Vaughn is 0 for 2 against Darvish. He popped out and fly to left. He takes inside.
Personally, I think the seats that are as good as any are the seats in the second deck right there that are right behind the dugout. Get a little bit different look from slightly higher up.
Yeah, those are our premium seats that actually go to put a little bit of money back into the facility when the Rangers and Royals call for some upgrades in their clubhouses. And a lot of what's going on here is, when we took a trip to Arlington in the early years, the way the right field and the left field seats in the corner are angled out. That's Arlington.
Is it?
That's Arlington. I'm a big horse racing fan, so you have Churchill down with the spires, up on top.
Yeah.
And you kind of put a little flair into what you really like. And
one thing they did in this ballpark that's a little different. They left a lot of foul territory, especially down the line. So was that by design for any particular reason?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of it was foresight. There's going to be a time, hopefully, we can expand out onto that field area there with the blessing of both the Royals and Rangers for some field seats. The concourses are wide for expansion up and back, so there was that kind of planning as well. You can see the overhang. You talked about these upper deck seats. I mean, they were there. There's 250 on each side, but you actually can see what they really do. They provide shade from dugout to dugout.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which in the Cactus League is premium as you go to some of these other facilities. So that was by design. HOK, now Populous, did a great job.
I won't mention other cities, but in a couple of the parks we've been to, there literally is no shade in the stadium anywhere. So that to me, that would be an important feature if I were coming to a game.
Well, you can go ahead and say it, or I can. I know who they are. And when I was in Peoria, that was the number one complaint from the Mariner fans who are coming from the Northwest. I've been in the cold, I've been in the cloudy weather for for 7-8 months, and now you put me out in the sun, and you could always tell who was from the Seattle area because they were red and blistery after the second day.
Exactly.
So this was a big piece. We have 7,000 seats in the bowl, and I'd say probably about 45-50% of it is shade most of the ball game.
All right, Ryan Braun has drawn a walk to load the bases, and Sheppers is out of the ball game. Ron Washington is calling for a new pitcher. Mark Coronado, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on all the success you've had here.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Rangers lead the Brewers 3-1, and we'll be back right after this. The Brewers have the bases loaded with 2 outs in the top of the 5th inning, trailing 3-1, and left-hander Ben Snyder will try and put out the fire.
I guess, Eric, if you're Ben Snyder, this is why you were warming up. Generally in spring training, pitchers either pitch out of jams or finish the inning, and you don't have much regard to how the inning goes. But Ron Washington, with the bases loaded, is going to bring in the lefty to face the lefty right here. So good opportunity for Ben to get someone out and make an impression.
The pitching change brought to you by Ozarka, and you saw the numbers on Snyder, who drops in a nice breaking ball to Ishikawa, who walked both times today against Yu Darvish.
Darren Oliver has made a living for a long time doing exactly what Snyder just did. Throw a curveball over the plate, get a strike against a left-hand hitter.
3-0-1 pitch, tap foul. Now Snyder's had an exceptional spring so far. 5 innings, no runs, 1 hit. He hasn't walked anybody. This is a guy the Rangers got from Baltimore in the Kevin Millwood deal 2 years ago when he was a Rule 5 draft. Pitched at Frisco that year and Frisco again last year. He's at a Ball State University. And of the left-handers in camp, he has the best numbers anyway. You can't get much better than what he's done.
Well, that first curveball he threw looked exactly like Darren's curveball. And that, to me, is the key. If you're going to be a left-handed specialist and you're going to pitch against left-hand hitters in key situations, you have to get your breaking ball over and be able to throw it for strikes. So at least on the first couple of pitches, he did that to get ahead in no balls and 2 strikes.
One and 2 to Ishikawa, just missed inside with a breaking ball. Bases full of those blue-shirted Brewers. Aoki at third base, Weeks at second base, and Braun at first base. 3 runs on 8 hits for the Rangers, 1 run on 2 hits for the Brewers. Alex Gonzalez would be next. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. And here it comes, fouled away off to the left.
He's left the last couple of breaking balls toward the inside part of the plate. I think if he could duplicate the first pitch that he threw, make it break sharply, keep it down and away, you have a pretty good chance of getting this guy out.
You know, when you think of Snyder as a possibility, you keep in mind that lefties last year in the Texas League hit just 202 off. Here he comes at 2-2. Just missed. And the count is full, so they're getting ready to run at first, second, and third with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and a full count. A single and 2 walks have loaded the bases here in the 5th. The payoff pitch. High drive to left field. Murphy has a play on this. Ranging over to his left. He says he has it, and he does. And Ben Snyder does, in fact, put out the fire for Tanner Scheppers. No runs, a hit. The Brewers leave the bases loaded. Now let's go back to Emily Jones' conversation with Yu Darvish. Rangers 3, Brewers 1 going to the bottom of the 5th inning. Beltre, Young, and Cruz due up against Randy Wolf, who's still on the mound. Time for Sounds of the Game. Brought to you by Papa John's Pizza. We have Mike Napoli standing by, who caught Yu Darvish's 4 innings of work. Mike, were you impressed?
Yeah. He threw a lot of strikes, and that's what, coming back from his last start, had a little trouble throwing some strikes, and he did that today.
Mike, it looked like one of the pitches that he had a lot of success with was a sinker that he was keeping down. Is that one of the variations of his fastball?
Yeah, I mean, I told him trying to use the middle of the plate and let it run to the corners, and he did that today.
We got to look at his athleticism again, coming off the mound a couple of times over to first base. I guess you don't have to worry about whether he's going to cover or not.
Yeah, he gets over there pretty good, and it's part of the game. As we go through spring training for, and he's doing it well.
Mike, from a personal standpoint, how's your health right now?
I felt pretty good. I didn't feel anything today with the groin, and it's a good sign.
You mentioned you were trying to maybe change your stance behind the plate a little bit to ease the burden on your groin. Have you been doing that?
Yeah, it's mostly with runners on base, and getting up in my stance to be able to block balls and throw people out. So I was able to do that today. It still feels a little uncomfortable, but I'm sure me working on it, I'll get it down.
A couple of weeks still to go before opening day. How close are you in terms of your swing right now?
It's weird. It goes at bat to at bat. Sometimes I go up there and feel really good, and sometimes I feel a little lost. But it's part of spring training, and I'm just trying to get in there so I can get as many ABs and feel comfortable.
Over the years, what kind of a spring hitter have you been?
Up and down.
No pattern?
No pattern. I mean, sometimes it's really good, and I've had springs where it's been terrible. But, I've been feeling good. I've been feeling better, and the more I get in there, the better I'll feel.
There's 1 out in the bottom of the 5th inning. Rangers lead 3-1. Michael Young at the plate. He's 1 for 2 with a single. We're visiting with Mike Napoli. And Michael has his second hit of the day. Through the shortstop hole, 1 out and 1 on for Nelson Cruz. Now, you were one of the veteran players who stayed back here in Arizona while the rest of the club, or most of them anyway, headed for Las Vegas. Was that your choice, Mike?
It absolutely was. If I went over there, I don't know what would have happened.
Hey, you got a big raise this year. You can handle it.
Yeah, no, I'd rather stay here and get my work in.
And that you did, albeit as a designated hitter.
Well, you know, they say one of the important things for a player or person in general is to know yourself. So that's good, Mike. You know yourself.
Yeah.
Now, as you caught Darvish today, did anything surprise you about the movement on the pitches?
I mean, that two-seamer, I mean, it's late movement and you know, dives pretty good. And, you know, if he can throw that thing in the zone, I mean, he's going to be good.
Any of the hitters say anything to you about him?
No, I didn't hear anything. It just, I mean, he has good stuff. I mean, scouts did a good job, you know, seeing this guy, and you know, they were right on him.
You hear catchers talk about certain pitchers being hard to catch. Is he the kind of pitcher that would be hard to catch?
I don't think so. I mean, from the first time I caught him, you know, I was telling Yorvi that, you know, he was pretty easy to catch. And I mean, when a guy can put the ball where he wants it, and you know, you can be in a general area and he can hit your mid, it's pretty easy.
Cruz rolls one out to short. Flip to Weeks for one. On to first. They turn it 6-4-3. Mike Napoli, thanks for being with us. And
thanks,
great
Mike.
to see you back behind the plate.
All right, guys.
Rangers in the fifth. No runs on a hit. And we're heading for the sixth. Rangers 3, Brewers 1. Joe Nathan will be the new Ranger pitcher as we hit the sixth inning. In Surprise, Rangers on top 3-1. I'm Eric Nadel filling in for Dave Barnett, who is ill. Tom Grieve alongside with me. And the Rangers' new closer goes to the mound. And Nathan, one of those rare closers, Tom, who isn't just a fastball guy. He's a former starting pitcher in the Giants organization after he converted from being a position player. And when he's pitched against the Rangers, he's always thrown a lot of curves and sliders. You even see changeups from Joe Nathan.
Yeah, that's true. The thing I've been kind of intrigued reading about him this spring is the fact that generally in the spring he doesn't have his velocity. His velocity is always down, and then when the bell rings and the season starts, it's bang right up to where it normally is. Have you noticed that with him? I haven't had a chance to see him at all.
I hope his velocity will be a little bit better, although the game I saw him pitch, he was at about 92.
Well, that's probably about where he's going to be.
You know, he's 37 years old. He had Tommy John surgery, 2 years ago. Last year had some elbow trouble, but finished extremely strong, and the Rangers signed him to a 2-year deal. Of course, moved Neftali Feliz to the rotation. Alex Gonzalez, a rip and a miss. Gonzalez is 0 for 2.
There's 92 miles an hour right there. The other thing I've enjoyed reading about him is he is 37 years old, but Ron Washington, Mike Maddox, and everybody talks about how he bounces around with the energy of a 27-year-old. That's nice to see.
Yeah, and a wonderful guy, too. I've talked to him several times over the years when he was with the Minnesota Twins, and he's just so excited to be here, to be with a new team. he said he was really nervous when he got here at the beginning of spring training, even with all his accomplishments. 4 All-Star appearances, 261 career saves. Little looper out into short right field, and that falls in front of Cruz. A hit for Alex Gonzalez off Joe Nathan. Nathan, last time out in a Cactus League game, gave up a 3-run homer to Miguel Olivo of Seattle. So for the spring, he's given up 3 runs in 2 innings. His first outing, he was so effective, he only threw a handful of pitches in a 1-2-3 inning against the White Sox. He barely got any work in. He's protecting a 3-1 lead here in the 6th. As so often happens in spring training games, earlier, I guess you would say mid-spring now. You don't wait till the 9th inning to bring your closer in. You let him complete his day a little bit earlier, and he gets to face big league hitters. George Kataris has struck out and walked, and he takes a strike. Nice job by Ben Snyder. He retired the one man he had to get with the bases loaded, 2 outs in the 5th inning. The lefty retired Travis Ishikawa on a soft fly ball to left field to preserve the lead. So Sheppers went 2/3 of an inning after Darvish went 4 innings, allowed 1 run on only 1 hit. Very impressive outing for you, Darvish, although at times his command was a little bit off. You might want to see a little better strike percentage. It was 39 strikes and 31 balls, although he may be one of the pitchers whose stuff is good enough. He can survive without a 2-to-1 strike to ball ratio.
Yeah, and I think based on what I was reading, that the command of his fastball was an improvement today from the last time that he pitched. And a lot of the fastballs that he was missing with were right around the strike zone. It wasn't like they were way out of the strike zone. So it seems like it's all headed in the right direction for him.
Lucroy is coming up next.
Let's try to catch that one, Joe. Seen Kevin Millwood miss time. Kevin Brown missed time. Your reaction is to try to catch the ball. Fortunately, it looked like Joe reversed that reaction and pulled his hand back, and that ball was hit pretty hard.
2 on and nobody out. Lucroy has been hit by a pitch and grounded into a double play started by Beltre, the last batter faced by Darvish. The corners are pulled up, and the pitch from Nathan in for a strike. So Nathan out of Stony Brook in New York. Out of Pine Bush, New York. And again, originally a 6th-round pick by the Giants. Actually retired and went back to school when the Giants wanted to turn him into a pitcher, and then came back the following year. Pitches low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Broke into the big leagues as a starting pitcher in '99. Was a starter again in 2000. Divided that year between the majors and minors. Back to the minors for a while, and of course part of a fantastic trade by the Twins after the '03 season. They gave up A.J. Przinsky, picked up Nathan, Francisco Liriano, and Booth Bonds. That's high, and the count is 2 balls and a strike. And when you talk about Nathan's velocity improving when the season starts, which is the case for some closers, I asked Joe if it's a case of adrenaline kicking in, and he said no. In his case, he has adrenaline every time he goes to the mound in game competition.
Well, that's strange. You would think that's what it would have to be. Yeah. Well, his velocity looks fine today. Most of his fastballs are right around 92, so that's not a problem.
Foul twisting over toward the stands. You see the ample foul territory here, but not enough for Moreland to run under that one.
That was a good explanation. I've always wondered why they had so much here, why the fans were so far away from the field, but Mark Coronado explained that in case they wanted to expand the stadium, they wanted the room. It never occurred to me that could be the reason.
They didn't need the extra seats when the stadium was first built. His first couple of years, maybe the Cubs games would bring the really big crowds. Now everything has changed now that the Diamondbacks have moved from the Tucson area out to the Scottsdale area, because they sell out every place they go as the home team. Swing and a miss fastball by him. 93, and Luke Croy gets back to the dugout carrying the bat in his hand.
It's just a fastball pretty much right down the middle of the plate. Joe just threw it right by Luke Croy.
And now he'll work to Aoki, who's had 2 singles to center field, including the RBI hit off Darvish.
You won't see many big leaguers choke up nowadays much more than Aoki.
He bunts it foul and goes behind the catcher, Luis Martinez.
You also won't see many big leaguers bunt with men on first and second and one out like that.
Looked like he was bunting for a hit.
Yeah, he was.
Running up. Again, this is...
He wants to load the bases for his tourists, I guess. Once he gets to know his teammates a little bit more, he'll be swinging the bat in that situation.
This is a guy the Brewers signed partly as protection in case Ryan Braun had to miss the first 50 games of the season, which of course he's not going to have to do. As Braun was able to successfully appeal his suspension for testing positive for performing enhancement substance. And Aoki may be a backup player on this team, depending partially on the health of Corey Hart, who may or may not be ready to play right field when the season starts. Drilled over first. It's a fair ball. Past the diving Moreland into the right field corner. Gonzalez has scored. Kataris is being waved around, and he will come home. A triple for Aoki, a 3-hit game for him, and it's all tied up at 3.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will say to Aoki, look, in that situation, you've got a couple of men on base and 1 out. We don't want you to bunt. We want you to swing the bat. And you can see how the bat control, how it's improved when you choke up like that. That pitch was a pretty good fastball, up and in, and he got the good part of the bat on it with a nice quick swing. He's down on the end of that bat. Chances are he's not able to do that quite as well.
And with all that extra foul room, Nelson Cruz had a long way to go to retrieve that ball. If the stands are close to the foul line, the ball hits the stands, maybe ricochets to him. The infield is in. And it's a suicide squeeze as Turris gets the bunt down and gets the run home. Nathan off the mound puts the tag on his Turris, but the sacrifice goes 1 unassisted. As Turris gets the RBI, and the Brewers are ahead 4-3. Yesterday, Turris did the exact same thing. Laid down a perfect suicide squeeze bunt in the 3rd inning, and this time he did it on a pitch that was up around eye high.
Well, getting the bat on the ball is difficult when it's a 92-mile-an-hour fastball that high, but getting the ball down is really difficult. More often than not, that ball will be fouled off or popped up. So it was a great job by Turris. And with those 2 hitters, you're seeing the one that should bunt and the one that shouldn't bunt. Turris got the bunt down. I wish Aoki got the bunt down. Wouldn't have been able to triple.
Ricky Weeks has struck out twice and walked. The Brewers lead for the first time today on the strength of a 3-run 6th off Joe Nathan. And Yu Darvish will remain winless in Cactus League play.
Saving him for the regular season.
His 3rd start, his 3rd no decision. And again, we don't know when his next Cactus League appearance will be, but we have our doubts it'll be this weekend against the Angels.
I think the one thing you see from Nathan today is he looks great. He's throwing the ball fine, throwing hard, but probably the command of his fastball is not exactly what he wants. A lot of them have been belt high or a little bit up out over the plate. Not really hitting his spot with his fastball, but as far as feeling good, throwing good, I'm sure he feels great out there. Looks at it anyway.
Rangers are getting a left-hander up in the bullpen right now. Nathan is the 4th man to go to the mound for Texas in this ballgame, while Milwaukee has used only the starter Randy Wolf. Wolf going 5 innings today. They had Jose Veras, a veteran right-hander, warming up behind him last inning.
Well, Nathan obviously has had some injury problems. The other thing I've read him say is he hasn't felt this good in a long time. Have you talked to him about that, how good he feels physically?
Yeah, I said he worked out really hard in the offseason, the way he used to work out when he was in his early 20s. And he misses and grimaces in frustration. don't believe he's complaining about the umpire. I think he's just upset with himself. And Joe's one of these stand-up guys who's always going to answer questions regardless of the outcome of a particular game or his specific outing. That was something we heard from the guys over in Minnesota. You know, our closers are always going to have some blown saves, and he's not one of those guys who will be hiding in the training room. He'll be waiting at his locker when the press enters the room. Hopefully it won't happen that way too many times.
I think the closer has to be that way. He has to be the kind of guy that can put the game behind him right away. And with a game on the line almost every time he pitches, he has to be the guy that accepts the burden of talking to the press in those situations.
Nigel Morgan 0 for 3 today. Weeks, good lead over at first base. Moreland's got it on one hop, gets the out at first, and Nathan is out of the inning. But not before the Brewers come up with 3 runs on 3 hits, a suicide squeeze bunt, and a walk. They leave 1, and in the middle of the 6th inning, it's now the Brewers 4 and the Rangers 3.
Ginberg.
4-3, Milwaukee on top. And there's a look at the Medical Center of Arlington injury report. And Torrealba, apparently better today, is available, although Brad Hopp is not. That hamstring tightening up on him yesterday in the game in Maryvale. He said ongoing problems with that hamstring this spring. Luis Martinez, his first at bat. The catcher hits a little bloop to short right field, and the new second baseman Taylor Green dives and can't get it. And a very good spring continues for Luis Martinez, who is likely to be at Round Rock when the year begins. He now has 9 hits in 19 at-bats. And he leads off against Randy Wolf with a single. That's the 10th hit that Wolf has permitted. Wolf still out there. And now the pitcher record on the plus side as David Murphy bats for the 3rd time. Murphy has fly to left and had a looping RBI single to right. And the pitch to Murph is in there for a strike.
I wouldn't have expected in a spring training game midway through spring training after the 1st inning that Wolf would be out there in the 6th inning, but he's settled down.
Yeah, boy, that was a tough start for him. 4 of the first 5 batters had hits, and the only one who didn't had a sacrifice fly. But he has found it since then. The only change the Rangers have made, not on the mound at this point, behind the plate with Luis Martinez, who's now the runner at first base. Brewers have made some in this inning. We'll catch you up on those. Taylor Green is the second baseman. Edwin Masonette, the former Astro, is the shortstop. Logan Schaefer is in left field, and Caleb Gindel is the new right fielder for Ron Renicke's crew. 1-2 to Murphy. just misses outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Brewers came in with 6 wins, 9 losses for the spring. Rangers at 4-11 and a tie. Anyone remember what the Ranger record was last spring on the way to another World Series appearance?
I don't remember. I would guess it was a couple games over 500, but I don't have any idea.
Just matters not at all. It was actually 3 games under.
3 games under. Wow.
13 and 16 in one of those famous spring training ties.
Well, managers will all say they try to win every game. Winning does matter in spring training, but at the same time, they'll say the most important thing, keep your guys healthy, have the pitchers stretched out, and be ready to go on opening day, and don't worry about what happens in spring training. It will take care of itself if they're all healthy. And
keeping them healthy, when we saw that injury report for this stage of the spring, that's a great looking injury report.
It really is.
Little hamstring problem. Torrealba with some back stiffness, which was better today. Look at teams that have already lost players for significant chunks of time.
Yeah.
Happened real early to Grady Sizemore of the Indians, Scott Sizemore of the Oakland A's. Carlos Quentin. There's a possible double play ball booted by Taylor Green. And Murphy's on an error. Martinez now occupies second base. The Rangers playing down by a run at first and second and nobody out. And Angel Beltre is going to run for David Murphy. Look at that play again.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a double play, and I'm sure Green 9 times out of 10 will turn a double play, but that time he wasn't able to do it. And it'll be it for Randy Wolf.
So Beltre now runs at first base, Martinez at second base, and the Brewers are making a pitching change. It is the veteran right-hander Jose Veras, and with the Brewers leading 4-3, we'll be back to Surprise right after this message. The Rangers with MLB.com at bat 12 for your iPhone, iPad, or Android. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more.